Hey guys. Hey. Okay, so I think I see. I'm not one of those people who really have her lighting down. Grr. Okay, I think this is okay. Or so I think it is. Okay, so I went volunteering today, and it was absolutely terrible. So let me back up. I usually started my volunteering session at noon, but I got there a little earlier today because Louis and I went to the community fridge to drop off the pastries from yesterday. I packaged it, I dropped it off at the fridge. I got there about 15 minutes earlier than I normally go. The person, when I went upstairs and dropped off my stuff, so it's a 2-level building, I dropped off my stuff. I saw one of the transporters sitting down, eating a pastry of sorts. So I told them that, I had just dropped off a bunch of baked goods at the community fridge. If they so happen to pass by it, feel free to take something. And we got into a conversation about food waste, and they were sharing to me about how so much is thrown out and how much that, how much stuff they get from different organizations and things like that. So I'm seeing okay, oh, what up? Yeah. I'm talking to them and I have my phone in my hand, right? I'm seeing the time. I know I start at 12. I'm upstairs. But we're having conversation. So 12:05, I say, crap, I'm 5 minutes late, no biggie. I end the conversation. Right when I end the conversation to stand up, I hear someone hollering, yelling downstairs. She's upstairs. I don't know her name. And I'm like, I know obviously they're talking about me because I'm the only person who's female upstairs besides that one transporter of sorts. So I go to the restroom, wash my hands because I have a few hour shift, and then I go downstairs. By then it's 12:10. So normally I'm starting at 12 o'clock, right? I get there at 12. I go downstairs 12:10, and I'm like thinking to myself, okay, I'm a little late. No biggie. Remember, I'm an unpaid volunteer. I know I was a little late, but I thought, okay, 10 minutes late. Okay, it is what it is. I could have had an important phone call, that kind of thing. But I really wanted to talk to this person because I rarely meet up with them in terms of, having conversations, since they're always out on the road, or they're busy, or I'm busy, and by the time that I'm done, I can't really talk to them. So I go downstairs. I have my volunteering stuff on. Apron, gloves, and I'm gonna identify two people. Okay, they're two longtime volunteers. I'm gonna call one V1 and V2. That's why you can differentiate. Okay, V1, V2. So V1 and V2 have been volunteering for, I believe, over 10 years with this organization. I believe they're also unpaid volunteers. And they volunteer about 5 days a week or 4 days a week, but it's definitely more than me. I only volunteer there once a week. When I'm getting ready into the groove, V1 tells me, if you want to talk and sit down, you should go home. Or no, if you want to talk and sit down, you should stay home. And they told me that if I want to, when I come to volunteer, I should put down my stuff, get ready to help out, and just straight out help out people. And I was kind of surprised because whoa, hold up a second. I know I'm 10 minutes late. I didn't mean it in any disrespect. But if you're going to say that if I'm sitting down and talking to someone, then I should, stay home, it's really combative. You know what I'm saying? So I look around at the volunteers. Normally there's 4 volunteers, including V1 and V2, so that's 6, right? Today there was only chatty volunteer. I'm gonna call her chatty volunteer, me, V1, V2. That's it. So instead of having 4 people, it's 2 people, including V1, V2. So I think, okay, just let it slide. I don't say anything. I don't think that's the way you should talk to a person, but I let it slide. They want me to put stuff on the shelves. Okay, no problem. So chatty volunteer is right next to me. I've never spoken to her before, never seen her before. And, she wants to have conversation. So I remember the conversation with V1, and she says this very openly. She's very irked, right? And Chatty Volunteer wants to talk to me, so I talk to her. You know, we talk about where we grew up, we talk about what we think about New York, we talk about Cuomo, and I'm putting all the canned goods on the shelf, and she's putting stuff on the shelf as well. And then V2 comes over and says, "You're moving really slow." And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she says, "You're going too slow." And I know the speed that I'm putting these cans on the shelf. It's not slow. Yeah, we're talking, but I'm multitasking at the same time. Keep in mind, it's just Chatty Volunteer and I. So I'm thinking to myself, they're probably thinking we're really slow because instead of having 4 people signed up, it's just me and Chatty. Yeah. So I do my thing, I talk to Chatty, and then I notice V1 and V2 are not helping out. So V1 and V2 normally help out alongside with, me and 3 other volunteers weekly. I've been volunteering for about 1.5 months, I think. But they weren't helping out. They were just, looking at us, and I was getting some bad looks. And I was just like, what is their problem? I don't understand. And the delivery truck that's supposed to donate stuff, it came late. It actually didn't show up. They couldn't contact the driver for whatever reason. And I look at what's happening, okay? You got 3 people staring outside of that window waiting for the truck while Chatty and I are doing the work. I think it's ridiculous, right? So after we stock up the shelves, I talk to Chatty and we're like, okay, let's go bag some condoms because they distribute condoms. So we're bagging out condoms, and then V1 comes around and says, "You're still working on the condoms?" And what she doesn't understand is we're opening new bags and new bulk stock and putting things together. So it's not like we're just working on one bin. We're working out from stuff put on the side, and it was just it just rubbed me the wrong way because I was thinking to myself, you keep telling us that we're working too slow, and you're not putting in any work whatsoever. Like, it really irks me. It really irks me. So let's recap, okay? So I went down 10 minutes late. I fully, yeah. Okay, it wasn't a nice thing to do, but you know what? Things happen. I mean, like, I think of it this way. Like, this is not like I constantly show up late or anything like that, and I regularly stay later. That's the other thing. So it's not like they've never seen me before. And I'm working, every week, helping out. I don't mind staying late. And then when I hear this kind of talk to me, and then I'm hearing stuff like, you're moving too slow, and I ask them to repeat, and they say the same thing to my face. And it's V1 and V2, both saying that me and this Chatty are working too slow. It comes off as very unappreciative, and it comes like a hostile environment. I don't know what's going on. So I talked to Chatty, and Chatty's volunteered here before. I just haven't come across her. I think she was going on another day. So Chatty, oh wait, no, hold up a second. Chatty didn't volunteer there before, I'm not too sure, but she was there earlier than me. So she had told me that the person in charge went up to V1 and V2, and I guess the person in charge of this place was having a bad day. They said something to V1 and V2. I don't know what was said, but V1 and V2 have a bad day. And then you can imagine when I stroll down 10 minutes later, it's like I become the target of people, what happens when people have a bad day. And I just don't like it at all. I don't believe that if you're having a bad day, you take it out on other people. It's completely wrong. It doesn't encourage people to want to show up again. I don't know why the volunteer turnout was so abysmal today. Normally it's full, but today it was just me and Chatty. That was it. Yeah, so I just kept my mouth shut. I didn't say anything because I knew if I said anything, right, V1 would back V2 and that kind of thing. So I know that they had a conversation with the transporter as well, and V2 apologized about something. So I think maybe they were saying something about the transporter. And I have no problem with the transporter, but it seems like transporter also had a tense conversation with V1 and V2 over some sort of thing. And after I volunteered, I I was leaving and I said, oh, bye. And I waved to V1 and V2. V2 looks at me and waves, but V1 just doesn't make eye contact with me. Yeah, it's like I pissed off V1 so much. V1, like I said, was the one who told me that I came in that if I want to sit and chat, then I should just stay home. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to make it clear that when I volunteer, also, it's on a week-to-week basis. So I'm not doing a commitment thing, and I've chosen to work at this place because it's nearby us, and I do believe that they do help the community. But I don't want to volunteer at a place where someone said I become the punching bag, or I do a little misstep and I feel like I get shade thrown at me. You don't tell a volunteer who is unpaid volunteering their time, who doesn't have a commitment to show up to these things, who isn't getting paid, and who has no incentive to show up except that they want to help the community. You don't treat people like that, and it saddens me because I have this experience with this place, and then I've also shared with you guys about the other place as well, and it just irritates me a lot. It irritates me and it saddens me, and I can't help but think and remember that if you lose good volunteers, it's not because the volunteers are not good people. It's not because they're lazy. It's probably because of how these people were treated. Yeah. Yeah. So, transporter before he left, he talked to me and he asked me, oh, he asked me, am I going to be back next week? And I said, yeah, I'll be back next week to volunteer. I know I'll see how it goes, but I might just stop volunteering for that place shortly. And I want to encourage people that if they do volunteer and they encounter something like this, then it's probably, like, don't take it like as if you are really, really bad. Also remember, it could just be another person just snapping at you. And I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm volunteering and I'm spending my time at an organization and I feel like I'm just getting belittled and criticized for, putting in this work for stuff. And there wasn't a lot of work to do. That's the thing. So if I'm putting stuff on the shelves and it's really freaking slow, and and I'm getting criticized for the speed of me putting stuff on the shelf. Yeah. It was surprising to me that also V1 and V2 weren't helping out. I don't know if this is going to set a precedence where V1 and V2 just kind of sit on the sidelines and then they just kind of criticize the volunteers. But I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I don't want to volunteer at a place where I'm just putting myself at this whole, you need to work faster and blah, 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 blah. I'm not getting paid for this. I want to volunteer at a place where I'm not subjecting myself to speed issues when it comes to stacking stuff on the shelf. At the end of the day, hold up. At the end of the day, oh my gosh, how the hell are you so dark? Like my sunlight went, is it just me or did my sunlight go? Okay, no, my sunlight didn't go. I swear, I don't have my lighting down. How do I do this? Okay, here, maybe this is better. I think this is better. Yeah, I don't got my angles down. This is the first time that I've actually been this agitated about volunteering. When she had told me, when I initially went down and I was ready to work, and she had told me that if I want to just sit around and chat, then I should just stay at home. I thought it takes a lot of freaking balls to say that to an unpaid volunteer. Like, yeah, I was 10 minutes late, but this is a couple hour shift. Things happen. What if I had a phone call and I was late to it, and I decided to stay 10 minutes, to come 10 minutes late. And then afterwards, I just dedicate my time on this. When I volunteer, it's not like I'm texting on my phone or making phone calls or something. I'm completely, focused at getting this stuff done. There was nothing really to do today except putting stuff on the shelves and bagging condoms and putting bags of trash out, and that was it, because there was no delivery. And I know on Wednesday they're going to be getting a bunch of stuff in, but I don't volunteer on those days, and I feel bad if there's volunteers over there on Wednesday and then B1 and B2 don't help out. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, Lewis is in here. Yeah. I've never heard criticism about me putting stuff on the shelf slowly. But also keep in mind, things look slowly when you only have half of the manpower that you normally do. Actually, we're not even half. It's 1/3, because normally it's 4 people plus V1 and V2, right? So that's 6 people. But then V1 and V2 weren't showing up. And then we didn't have 2 volunteers. So it was just me and one other person. So when you only have 1/3 of the volunteers helping out on the stuff, of course things will look much more slower. You don't have the volume of people. You don't have the speed of that. Oh, the windows are too bright. Okay. How do I do this? How do I fix this? Okay, you know what, actually? Let's just move it this way. Okay, we move it this way. You guys get the kitty letter. Does this look better? I think it does look better. Yeah, I don't know if I don't know about the other people, but I was genuinely surprised today that there was only 2 volunteers that showed up. Normally it's always kind of packed or very close to packed. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so I will see what will happen. I don't want to. I think Cleo ran out of battery. I think that I will give this thing like one more chance, because I did say I was going to be back next week, and depending on it, I might stop volunteering. I don't want to put myself in that kind of situation. I want to be at a place where I don't feel people are fearful of the organizers or afraid of getting yelled at by the organizers. Maybe I'm very idealistic in that way, but I strongly believe that it is possible to have a group of people come together, and there's no like apprehensive feelings or this kind of angry thing floating around. Yeah. I'm actually, sad about it, because I didn't expect it to be that way. But it tells me that if people have a bad day, chain of command, right? Maybe the top person had a bad day, which was confirmed by Chatty, and then V1 and V2 probably were affected by it for whatever reason, and their reaction is, okay, let's take it on the volunteers. I might be misjudging things over here, but I can tell you that this kind of stuff that happened today didn't happen at the other times that I was volunteering. And I would think that if you have a person who is volunteering or has been volunteering for over a month consistently, right? You kind of know what kind of person they are. You know that they're not intentionally trying to disrespect you if they're staying upstairs for like 10 minutes afterwards, 10 minutes when their shift starts, and it's not personal. It was just that I was talking to someone, and after I wrapped it up, then I went downstairs and I was thinking, okay, I'm a little late. I'll just stay 10 minutes later. Biggie. I would think that you would see it as, okay, at least this person showed up, or if you want to approach me about something, approach me directly. Don't start saying these kind of things, such as, she's upstairs, I don't know her name. It's very, you see what I'm saying? Like, why say that kind of stuff or why shout that kind of stuff when you know I'm upstairs and I have ears so I can hear? Yeah, sorry. I don't need to find a place that works out for me. I already volunteer at one, and that one, although it's not perfect, you guys know about the situation with that one. I mean, it, it's better if I had to compare the two experiences compared to what I experienced today. Yeah, and it it saddens me. There's other things that happen too, but I don't think I'm gonna share it with you guys. But let's just say I did make an offer to help out, and I did want to kind of, I wanted to get you guys involved because I wanted help translating things in different languages. I I asked, can you send me like what you want translated, and I'm gonna ask people if they can translate it. And it seems like, although I, although there was a problem, and I just wanted to help out with that. So long story short, okay, this is, I'm so terrible at saying this kind of stuff or trying to be very vague about things. So I'm just gonna say it anyway. They have a problem where people who are getting canned goods, they're just throwing them away on the street for whatever reason. I don't know why. They just dispose of it. So they were talking about having a box, so people, if they don't want canned goods, they can put it inside of the box. But there's a problem there. The problem there is that these people speak different languages. So I was telling them, I said, well, what if you write some of this stuff down, like what you want, like please put the canned goods you don't want in this box, and in different languages, and that way it's inside of the box. And I had spoken to someone, and they said, oh, that sounds really easy to do, but yeah, that sounds really easy to do, but it's not. And I was telling them, like, okay, just tell me what you want written down. I'm sure it's only 2 sentences. If you give me the 2 sentences, I'll find the translation for it. That's it. So I gave them my email last week, and I was looking for that email. I was waiting for the email because I really wanted to involve you guys with it. I didn't get the email today. I bumped into the person, and the person just, instead of, how would I say, like, it was kind of obvious they're in a bad mood, and I know for a fact I'm not going to be bringing this thing ever up again, because it was just like, yeah, I felt like I was causing more of an issue asking for those 2 sentences so I could help solve a problem. If you have a box, you don't want the boxes ending up disposed around the area. Tell the people picking up those packages, put your canned goods in the box, make a big sign. And they said, making a sign is no issue because they have the printers for that. But all they needed was the translation. I'm offering to help them get the translations, and I just feel like I'm being a pain in the ass offering this kind of, offering to help them with it, and then copying and pasting it and then sending it to them. Yeah, so it's deterred me from wanting to push for that. And it also saddens me because I've seen these canned goods all around because I live in the area, and I know where it's coming from, and this stuff isn't going to change, because if you don't change systems in place, and this kind of problem is happening, then this stuff's not going to change. People who speak other languages might not understand, hey, we want all the canned goods that you don't want in a box, so good to just put a flyer on top, or a little sign in, I don't know, English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Japanese, you know what I'm saying, like French, anything you can think of, just that way. Or what kind of people you think would, the predominant people, and just kind of put on a box, and that way they can, if they can read, if they're literate, do it that way. I've also suggested, if you have someone who does speak a certain language, you can actually just record their voices and have it on like a phone or an iPhone, or you know what I'm saying, like a voice recorder of sorts, and then like a playlist, and just say, like, if the person who's coming up is Spanish and they don't speak English, you press the Spanish button, and it tells you, hey, if there's canned goods that you don't want, please put it in the box with the star on it. And all you do is press a button and it will be said in Spanish. Like someone pre-records it and they just press a button. That was my suggestion, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I missed something. Okay. Oh, thank you, Labahar. Parcel full of chocolates and sweets? What? How come I never got a text message about chocolates and sweets? I have a good feeling they're just gonna eat it before I even get to it, but thank you. Well, because I'm not there on the days when they do that. So there are different days that certain things happen. There's one days where they collect stuff and then take things from a truck and then put it on the shelves or make bags, or there's another distribution day. So I've only worked at distribution days once where they hand out food, and when they hand out food, that's when the whole canned goods issue comes about. But I also need to know what exactly do they want being said. I'm not going to just say, okay, yeah, this is what I think should be done, and then, yeah. Because I'm not the one making decisions or anything. If I have guidance about, okay, just, we want something that says, please put the items in the box with the star on it, then I could do that. But I'm not going to just send this stuff, especially when it seems like I'm the only one who wants to try to find a solution. That's between you and me. Yeah, it just agitates me. It agitates me. But we'll see. Maybe I'll be proven wrong, and maybe something will come through. But that's just another thing that's kind of been on my mind. I think it's important to try and make a difference in the community, but there's lines that I draw with myself. If I feel like the environment is not good for me, then I'm gonna bounce. Yeah, I also think it's ultimately, right, if I bounce, it's gonna affect volunteers, because you're gonna have less pool of volunteers, and I really don't believe that the people who volunteer are of low quality at all. I think that there might be something that comes up, that maybe it's an environment, maybe it's something said to them, that they just say, F it, I don't want to volunteer here anymore. And I truly believe that if someone does work with volunteers closely, or if an organization relies heavily on their volunteers, then it's even more important to treat these volunteers with respect, and don't try to act like, or don't try to talk like you're better than them, or criticize them at the speed that they're working, when it's actually a normal speed. And when I say normal speed, it's the same exact speed that I was working at before this week. It just, like I said, when you only have 1/3 of the volunteers, it seems like things are going slower, because things are going slower since we have less people working on this stuff. Oh, thank you. Oh, it's addressed to me. Goodness, I hope Louis brings it home then. Yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's easy. Let me take it back. It's easy to complain about things. It's harder to actually find solutions. And I think the only way you can have it mentally, have it calm in your mind, is if you try to find a solution to it, and then you work at it. So, for instance, right, you're mad because people are tossing canned goods on the street, or it's just going to waste. Put a sign and get a big box and just put like a little arrow or a star and see how that goes. If that doesn't work, then brainstorm and tweak, and try to do as much as you can. But if you just kind of talk about it and complain about it, it doesn't really solve the issue. That the people who are making these decisions are getting paid. Yeah. The people who do make the decisions are getting paid. What is underneath my cup? Oh, this is what happens when I put stuff near the cat stuff. Ooh. Yeah. I don't know. You know, it's like the thing about a lot of these organizations for nonprofits, they run extremely lean. Like I've known some people who work at nonprofits. Like the salaries aren't that high. The amount of stuff that they want from being produced is, let's just say, you have to try to make every dollar count. So it's very important that if you do spend money on something, then you make it stretch. Yeah. So I do think that they care, and yeah, I do think that they care, but there's a difference about caring and actively trying to solve a problem, right? Yeah, yeah. It's easy to complain, it's harder to do. Like when I walk across the street, I see like a bunch of trash, I see plastic bags floating around, and I try my best to, pick them up. Not I don't pick up all of them, but I do at least pick up some of them. Yeah. So I think there's different things coming in place. First of all, I'm an unpaid volunteer. Second of all, I'm kind of like a greenie. I've only been helping out for like 1.5 months or so. I haven't been a volunteer for years. The other thing too is when it comes down to like decision making or things like that, I think there's some kind of group group think, and wherever the group decides to go, like that's gonna be done. But without, like, if someone outside of that group recommends things, I don't know if it's gonna be um, embraced. Especially if you catch off on one of these off days, right? And it becomes like you or like part of a firing squad or something like that. Yeah. So I got criticized for being slow with the canned goods, and then Chatty and I got criticized for, you guys are still working on, those condoms. Chatty is slow, I'm slow. That's it. 20 pounds. They're waiting for me to pick it up. Oh, that's a really funny way of putting it. He has a cargo bike, okay? If you guys see him on stream, you guys should tell him, hey, you have a cargo bike. You got one of those Yuba cargo bikes. Use them. And he doesn't have a shortage of bungee cords either. Yeah, they distribute condoms as well. Yeah, they distribute condoms and canned goods. Yeah. I think it's kind of strange. I mean, it makes sense, but it's just kind of strange to me that when you pick up something, they're like, yes, use protection. Yeah, and they want you to include a little leaflet about how to use these things on there too. Yeah, I was like looking at it. I was like, okay. Well, I'm pretty sure if someone has a bag of these, they know how to use it. But okay, we'll just include the leaflet in there of how to use these things. Ah, John, I need a box of food. But I got condoms. Ah, ah. Well, anyway, I'm gonna get going, you guys. I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, I am live, Lex. I'm definitely live. I need to get going. I have to drop something off to someone. I'm in this group where we encourage people to share stuff. So there's this one person and they said they just got a new cat and they don't know what kind of food they should feed their cat. So I'm going to give them like a few cans of wellness, and I'm going to give them a few cans of the sensitive digest food, and maybe their cat will like it. I'm also giving them like a little amount of catnip, and that way, you know, their cats can enjoy it. Yeah. So I have to meet up with them, and I will talk to you guys later. I think it's great that this kind of group exists, because sometimes, like, I strongly believe in strengthening community ties, and I think that if you live in a community, it's good to know that there are people within the community who don't mind helping each other out. And if someone is looking for something like, hey, you know, I need a cat scratching post, right? There's at least one or two people who would say, you know, I have a scratching post you can have, or and they'll just give it away for free. Yeah.